Oh,
Yeah. And before you begin, Mike, I just want to say to Matt and the rest of the people that are here, next month on March 6th, it's a Monday. We're going to have Erin Oban from USDA on, and she's going to talk about economic development in those rural communities that you may be serving. So there are some construction. She's going to talk about some housing and some other things for us. So that should be fun.
all right.
All right, Matt.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so we can run through a bit of what we've got going on. So as Mike mentioned, my name is Matt Chausee. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Be More Colorful. We are a North Dakota-based virtual reality production studio, and we create interactive experiences that showcase communities and careers. So our focus is on workforce development, and we create interactive virtual tours for campuses or downtowns, small towns. We also create or have created this library of career exploration content on our platform, CareerViewXR. And I'll be focusing mostly on the CareerViewXR side of things right now, because that's where we actually we're moving to push legislation through that would create an appropriation for CTE to be able to make our virtual reality career exploration experiences available to middle schools and high schools all across the state. So a little bit more about our team. We started as a husband and wife team almost 7 years ago. In the last we were a team of 2 until 2 years ago, and since then we've grown to a team of 11. We're currently hiring for a couple additional positions as well, and we are, really focused on creating as many North Dakota, as many experiences in North Dakota as we can, as well as experiences that are going to impact North Dakota job seekers and students. So we actually started with this ages ago. We had an opportunity to present to the Workforce Development Council back in 2019, and we started playing around with this idea of virtual reality for career exploration and seeing how we can, if there's an opportunity to impact kids with that. So I'm going to introduce you to Vivian. This is my daughter. This was 3 years ago, so she was 3 years old, but this is her inside an airplane hangar in virtual reality.
Can we go there, please? Huh?
You want to go there?
Yes.
Why do you want to go there?
Hey, what is that airplane come on?
Why do you want to go there?
Because I want to. The airplane looks so cool. Can you give me a video of it?
I love sharing that video because that's the core of what we're working to do with virtual reality and careers, is to give kids a sense of, hey, now I know that this exists. I want to learn more about that. I want to see if this is something that could be the right fit for me. So the CareerView platform itself, it consists of both virtual reality videos as well as web-based virtual tour experiences. What you're seeing right now is a web-based virtual tour where, just like a home virtual tour, you can navigate through a series of 360-degree scenes. You can click on hotspots and play video clips. You can click on informational areas to get information about tools and processes and procedures. And this part of it is really important because we want to make sure that any of the content that we're creating is not restricted to VR headsets only. So the web-based side of things allows schools and students to access all of the content on any of the devices that are currently in use, in addition to VR headsets. So here you can actually see this is up in Devil's Lake area. This is up in Langdon. We've got a couple students viewing, the student on the left is viewing an experience, day in the life of a dental hygienist on her Chromebook. And on the right, we've got a student who's viewing a day in the life of a plumber experience on his iPad. Here, this is a student who's inside the VR headset watching a day in the life of a welder fabricator. So we get out into schools quite a bit, and we spend a lot of time working with organizations like Marketplace for Kids, T4 Summit. And here, this is, yeah.
Can you ask, I think it's Hadley, Brad, mute their mic?
Here, I'll just, I think I should be able to just do that here.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, there we go. Yep, no problem. Thanks. So we work in schools quite a bit, getting feedback from students, getting feedback from counselors and teachers, making sure that what we are developing is flexible and functional for the classroom. This is actually a group of students that I was working with at a Marketplace for Kids event. This was up at Mayville State University. I was supposed to be teaching them how to create a virtual reality film, and I mentioned the VR career experiences that we're creating, and that's all they wanted to talk about. So I'm going to hit play on just a quick clip here so you can hear what they're saying.
Right now we've got 12 experiences. We're working on 12 more, but I want to create hundreds. I want kids to be able to go and see any career that they might want to explore. How cool would it, what do you guys think? How cool would it be to be able to explore careers or jobs in virtual reality?
It would be amazing because then you would actually figure out what you want instead of actually like going to school and getting the degree for it and then actually applying for the job and getting it and then figuring out that you hate it.
I couldn't have said that any better than this. Oh my gosh, you're that is perfect. That is spot on.
So in working with kids, I mean, kids get this. This is content that they are wanting to see. It's a delivery method that they are already comfortable with, and it allows us to transcend those time, geography, safety, financial, privacy, busing limitations that keep us from getting kids onto actual job sites. We can bring the job site into the classroom. So one of the things that I love about this is when kids are in the headset, I mean, the web-based experiences are great, and there's a ton of content can be accessed from any device. But when kids are wearing the headset, they're getting completely immersed and they're reacting to these environments as if they were there in person. I've got one quick clip to play. This young lady on the right that you see, she is actually inside an elevator shaft learning about elevator constructors right now. So you're in a swivel chair. Make sure you spin around. Look all the way up.
Whoa. Holy cow.
Elevator constructors combine elements of electricians, pipe fitters, sheet metal workers.
And that's an authentic reaction. That's a young lady who knows, hey, elevator constructor is a career. Maybe it's not for me because I'm not a real big fan of heights, but she's aware of this now. I was up at a Marketplace for Kids event in Minot, and we've got a bricklayers experience. And there was a group of 5th grade students, and this young lady says, I want to try that bricklayers experience. And I said, okay. And pop the headset on her. She's looking around. She's like, oh man, I love the patterns. Oh, wow, that looks so satisfying. She takes the headset off and looks straight at me and says, I think I want to be a bricklayer. And she may or may not follow that path, but she knows now that careers in construction are a viable opportunity for her. Within that experience, she saw women in the field doing bricklaying, doing tile setting. So we've got a huge opportunity to break down barriers and misperceptions about what careers are and what's available here beyond the 5 or 6 careers that kids might be accustomed to or familiar with. So talking a little bit more about what we're seeking to do, we're building up a library of contents. We've got 24 experiences right now. We are working, we have about 20 that we're getting ready to launch in the next couple of months. And we've got commitments from 40 organizations across the state to create additional experiences in 2023. So we're rapidly expanding this library of content, we want to create in every single economic development region in the state so that there's locally relevant content for all schools in the state. The huge opportunity here for us is building this content library and getting it out to schools all over the country. But because we're a North Dakota company, we're focusing on producing content here, which is going to be especially relevant for North Dakota students and help connect North Dakota students with North Dakota jobs. We're working through, creating some distribution and support partnerships through companies like EduTech, North Dakota Small Organized Schools, Are You Ready, which is backed by CTE and the Bank of North Dakota. But we've really are in a good spot right now to continue ramping this up and really, deploy it across the state to help kids make more informed career choices. I kind of jumped the gun on number of experiences, but yeah, 24 created, 20 scheduled for launching in the spring, 40 pending site selection in North Dakota, and we've got over 100 on the to-do list. So we're actively pushing into this. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. We're also working with Job Service and the Department of Commerce to make sure that what we're creating helps with in-demand occupations. And I'm really excited to be able to share with you what we're up to and how that could potentially impact students and schools across the state. So the one thing I'm gonna before we jump into questions that I want to make sure that I mention is House Bill 1232 is the bill that would provide an appropriation to career and technical education to make CareerView accessible to all middle schools and high schools across the state. We've cleared first major hurdles. It went straight to House Appropriations, didn't go to Policy Committee or Subcommittee, straight to House Appropriations where we testified, and it passed 21-1. And then went on to a House floor vote where it passed in the House 92-2. So we're on to the Senate now, and we don't have a hearing scheduled yet, but wanted to make sure that all of you are aware of it, because we do want to make sure that we're able to communicate support to our senators once that goes to committee, and eventually when it goes on to a floor vote, that this is something that's important for our students and for our state. So that's what I've got, and I'd love to jump into any questions that anyone has. I see we got a couple items in the chat here. Oh, okay. It looks like, yeah. Mike says there's a bill that has passed through House Appropriations, spread money for subscribe. Okay. Yep. So I think, yeah, Mike's just reiterating what I'd said. What questions do people have?
Yeah, we're a relatively small group, so just have at it. Open up your mic and ask those questions. Matt, I may have one. I was at a national career and technical ed down in Vegas, probably in 2018, someplace around there.
Yeah, that Career Tech Vision is the ACTE conference. Yep.
Yes, and at that time there was a number of I would probably call them competitors of yours that were offering similar type of career explanation virtual tour type software at the time, except yours is homegrown. What kinds of areas do you see there in North Dakota that are careers that are unique to this particular area and to the state and the economy?
Well, I mean, some of the things we've got a letter of support from the North Dakota Petroleum Council. We'll be working on creating things out in the western part of the state. We've got rural healthcare is a huge one. We actually have a contract that we're just in the process of negotiating with Health and Human Services that would allow us to create some a series of rural healthcare experiences. There are other solutions out there, but typically the other VR solutions are video game experiences where you can learn how to weld, or you can work with a panel. These are experiences that are real world. They are filmed in real locations, and you're able to see real people doing real work in real environments. The other big difference with this is the availability of them on any device. You're not restricted to VR headsets. So we're excited about the homegrown piece of it, but also the accessibility piece of it, that you are not going to have to come up with $30,000 to purchase hardware to be able to deploy this. Schools can get by with 1 or 2 headsets.
Okay, thank you.
Matt, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I jumped on a little
Hey.
late from Carrington. I am just wondering, what is your target audience here with this?
Yep. So target audience is middle school and high school, but the experiences by design are flexible enough that we've had elementary teachers use them. I brought CareerView into my daughter's first grade class, and we kept 18 first graders' attention for 35 minutes while they each waited their turn to try on the VR headset. The way that we were able to do that was by mirroring that on the screen behind them, so that as the students were waiting their turn, they could see each of their classmates' reactions as they were in the elevator shaft or on top of the structural steel as an iron worker, or doing carpenters, observing carpenters doing their thing. So it's really designed to be flexible, and because it's interactive, and especially on the web-based side of things, you choose your own path through it. You can spend as much or as little time as you want in these experiences. There is a gamified element to it. So we actually, when people ask that question, we say we're intended to be middle school through high school, but really these are rated E for everyone. We have job service in both Bismarck and Fargo using this for adult career seekers, bringing it into the prisons. I mean, it's really a very, very versatile tool. And to get the most out of it, it's kind of crafting a narrative about how you want to use that in the classroom. One place we'd love to go is actually including ideas for curriculum that can be paired along with the experiences. We're not quite there yet, but that's one of the next pieces that we want to implement. And by getting it into schools and getting feedback from teachers, then we can start getting those ideas for, okay, what would be most valuable to put in here?
I think it's building strong connections with the way our kids are learning today. My other question was, so with House Bill 1232, then did you say, I jumped on late, I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, so did you say that it would be free, or it would go to middle schools and high schools? Or
Yes.
it would be free?
Yes, that House Bill 1232 would cover the cost to implement it for at least 2 years in middle schools and high schools all across the state. Our goal would be to essentially get backing from the employers that are in the experiences as we have a year to ramp this up and show how it's used in the schools. I don't think we're going to have any problem with getting employers to help offset the costs moving forward beyond those first 2 years. So that's kind of our goal. I don't think this is something that should be dependent on a request every legislative session. I think this is something that should become self-sufficient. And we really do that by connecting the employers with the schools and getting everyone behind this. I mean, employers are always asking for ways to, how can we get into the schools? If we can show that this is used in the schools, this is the way to do that.
Okay.
Matt, that was going to be my question, is what connection you've had with the business community. I mean, I currently live in a community that's 15 miles away from Bobcat, from Doosan, and and they're always looking for employees. I think they're one of the largest employers in the state of North Dakota. So ag sector would be the other.
Yep. So yeah, we have great connections in virtually every industry. We've been spending the last 3.5 years building those connections. So this is not a fly by night type deal. This has been very strategic, methodical. I mean, we've got support from the North Dakota Petroleum Council. We've got support from Sanford. We have already started conversations with Doosan Bobcats. We are visiting with folks in the UAS industry up in Grand Forks. We're working with Grand Farm in the Castleton area and visiting with some of their connections in the ag industry. We've got connections with all of the job service offices who can help connect us with businesses. So it's been a lot of work to get it to this point, but it is something that any industry we need to get connected with, if we're all not already connected with, we know who can get us connected. And when we're able to tell, I should mention too, that the production of the experiences, we are self-funding all of that production. So for a business to become involved, they don't have to pay a dime for us to create an experience. We go and produce that at our sole expense.
Did you give out your email address or anything?
Absolutely. I'll throw it into the chat here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Matt, I've got another question.
Yeah.
Anybody results of anything yet? Have you found a kid that said, hey, I first got this particular occupation I found on your particular software, and now that's what I'm going to be when I grow up?
Oh, I mean, I don't have any specific like documented employment contracts or anything, but yeah, constantly. I mean, I played the video of the kids in Mayville where they're talking about, yeah, this is what we need. We had the young lady who's saying, oh, I think I want to be a bricklayer. I mean, once you see kids actually interact with it, it's as effective as field trips, job shadows. I mean, we're getting the same response to this as kids give from having gone to a place in person. And I'm not arguing this is better than field trips and job shadows. I think getting to a place in person is the best way to experience it, but that's not always possible. This is a close second, and one that allows kids to have dozens of experiences as opposed to the one a year field trip or job shadow that they might have an opportunity to do. It's about broadening horizons, really.
Yeah, Matt, the world is definitely changing. I think latest surveys show that people, when they grow up, they want to now be social media influencers. So that's kind of an interesting take on what we've been doing here for quite some time. So in fact, my grandson watches kids play. So he gets on YouTube channels and actually watches kids play. And there's people that are doing that for a living, and they get toys and they get to play with those toys. And so now his latest is when he sets up some things, he'll look at his mother and say, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up in the chat box. So, and he's 4. So
yeah.
The world is changing.
Yeah, it is. And my kids do that too. But one of the things that's been really encouraging for me is we've been out in, dozens, if not over 100 classrooms, demonstrating this, getting feedback from kids. And one thing that we always do before we break out the headset, kids have to come up with a list of 10 careers that they would like they'd like to see in the platform. And we're archiving all of that. And that's where our additional 100 careers come from. And one of the things that, as I mentioned, is really encouraging is that by and large, kids are asking for things that are on that in-demand occupations list. We get the occasional YouTube influencer or NASCAR driver or football player, but that's by far the exception. The vast majority of students are saying, I want to see a welder. I want to see a carpenter. I want to see a nurse. I want to see a surgeon. The other day we got a request for an agronomist. And I said, well, why agronomist? And he said, well, my dad's one. And he tried to explain what he does, and I don't really get it. And so, I mean, kids they understand what's realistic, what's attainable, and they have a desire to want to be able to see those things. We were just working with the Bismarck Career Academy and their Empowered class, and they actually came to the Capitol last Friday and helped us demonstrate CareerView to legislators. And those kids spent an hour and a half trading off the headset, trying the different careers that we have. And we didn't tell them to do that. They just opted to. So I'm really encouraged by this, actually. I think that authentic career exploration for real attainable careers is something that can have a big impact.
Any other questions for Matt today?
I have one. You said that this will be for middle school, high school. How about for those elementary schools? Is there a possibility to include those if they don't have a middle school, high school?
Yeah, there's certainly a possibility. Right now, the appropriation was intended for middle school and high school. They had looked at doing K-12, a full K-12, but I think there was a concern that appropriation would be about twice as large, and they were concerned it wouldn't happen. So I've actually been visiting with Mike Nathy about, how do we do this? And he said, well, let's get this through, and then let's talk about how do we make this happen in elementary. And if there is a huge demand for elementary, we can start making a case to the businesses that we're working with, saying, hey, we need to make this available to more students and younger students. I don't think that's going to be a really heavy lift to do. We need to get it into schools. We need to get a foot in the door, get it started, and show the success there. And I don't think it's gonna, I want this in my kids' elementary school too. Like this, yeah, I'm 100% there with you. And I think that right now, getting something, showing something that's positive, that's attainable, that can have an impact right away, and then building on that success was the approach that Nathan wanted to take in introducing the legislation.
So when this is done, you'll have like a library that schools will have access to. Is that how this will work then?
Yep. Yeah. So, and I can, let's see here. I'm going to jump out to the So this is the brand new CareerView website that actually have not demoed to anybody yet. So forgive me if it does, it should function. Yeah, there's jumping out to the experiences page here. We can scroll through and we've got all of these experiences that we've created. So schools can go and access these directly from the website. Students can access directly from the website. And you jump into the experiences. And I don't have an access code right now, but let's see, we'll jump into, so to jump into experience, you click on it. If your school would have an access code that you then enter that allows you to get to that landing page, but that's a shared access code that students can use for their devices. Our intent is that students and parents can use this together as well to talk about different career pathways. They probably won't have a headset at home, but that's why it's important to have the web-based experiences so that you can still access that content. The administrator or the school administrator will be able to log in and actually have a portal where they can download all of the videos that then get loaded into their VR headsets. And once we're completely up and running, I can give a demo of the entire system and what that looks like. And I would envision, I feel pretty good about 1232. If that moves forward, we'll be having a series of webinars on here's how you use it, here's how you access the content, here's recommended hardware. That is something that I should mention, is that the hardware is not included in that bill. And that's something that was intentional as well, because we want to make sure that schools can buy the hardware that's going to work best for them. And both ESSER and Perkins dollars can be used for that. So there are dollars available because it is career exploration. You can justify the hardware purchase with those dollars. And Mike had, Mike's not on anymore, but he'd had some other suggestions for funding mechanisms for getting the hardware side of it covered.
I would guess REAP would qualify for the hardware as well.
I would think so. I thought he maybe mentioned that in the chats. Yeah, he did say REAP funds in the chat. Yep.
Yeah, Title V, you could use those dollars, or Title IV, excuse me. So, hey, I've got another question here, Matt. Yeah. Most of us have the traditional career fairs.
Yep.
You know, through our CTE programs, we have electives as 7th and 8th graders. CTE is for years, even back in the days of VOAG, or vocational education, they talked about careers and all of those, and they did a really fantastic job. But how do you kind of mingle with those traditional career fairs? I think Lisbon, for example, a couple of weeks ago had a career fair where the high school students went to it, area students all came, and there was a number of businesses and occupations that were all set up there, and the kids had to go and see 3-4 different areas and actually interview them and talk about them. How do you, as a software company then, and a career viewer, how do you mingle with the traditional?
So we set up in job fairs all the time. We set up a booth that has a couple standard display devices and a couple of VR headsets, and students can just come right up to it. They can play around on one of the Chromebooks that we've got set up, or they can pop a VR headset on and try out a career experience through that. Our first clients actually, our first production clients back 3+ years ago, that was why they had us produce content, was so that they could bring it to career fairs. So this is it is a supplement to that physical presence, where you can also bring a digital representation of the job site with you to that career fair.
Good. Well, we don't have any other questions. Matt, if you'd stay on, we'll get this thing switched out and stop the recording. Just a quick reminder to North Dakota Small Organized Schools. Next month's Zoom meeting is with Erin Oban, who is the director of the state USDA economic development in those rural communities. So she'll be our guest next month on Monday, March 6th. Have a good day, everybody.
Yep. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Feel free to reach out with any other questions that you've got.
So Matt, if you would just send that recording to me, that'd be great. I put it on my YouTube channel. Is there anything